Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 17 of the Rugged Angel podcast. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. If you have not done so, could you please take the time to subscribe to the Rugged Angel Productions on iTunes, as well as follow us on SoundCloud, and give Rugged Angel Productions a like on Facebook and a follow at _Rugged Angel on Twitter. So the Pittsburgh 48-hour film project is upon us. The filmmaking weekend is this weekend, July 10th. So if you're signed up, are you pumped? Are you ready? Are you prepared for the frenzy that is going to be thrown upon you? I am. But I'm not making the film this weekend, so that's all up to you guys. So hopefully you're pumped and ready to go. If you're not involved, please look out for the screenings. They're going to be happening July 19th, 20th, and 21st at the Hollywood Theater in Dormont. And if you're not in Pittsburgh at all, probably check out to see where the 48-hour film project is happening near you. You can go to 48hourfilm.com/Pittsburgh for Pittsburgh information, or just the 48hourfilm.com to find out where there is one close to you that's happening. You can also like the Pittsburgh 48-hour film project Facebook page, and you can follow Pittsburgh 48HFP on Twitter. So remember last episode, I think it was last episode, when I talked about my Nerd Block box, subscription box that I got, and I gave away some Doctor Who stuff, and a young lady named Rebecca Weaver won that, and hopefully she has it by now. I shipped it off into the mail this week. So I'm going to give away some more stuff that was in my Nerd Block box that I don't particularly need or want in my life. It's Mr. Bean stuff. It's a Mr. Bean bendable, and there's also a Mr. Bean teddy bear. So I'm going to be giving that stuff away. Check out the Twitter, _Rugged Angel, to find out more information on how to do that. And hopefully if you love Bean and you want to participate and you'll want to get in on this and you'll want to make this Bean thing your own, this bendable Bean and his Bean bear your own, they'll find a welcome home with you. This episode is with Miss Kelly Grieve, or Mrs. Kelly Grieve, and this is also still part of the Pittsburgh 48-hour film project edition, where I am speaking to the fabulous women who have participated in the Pittsburgh 48-hour film project or are participating this year. Kelly participated a couple years. She was with Du Bois Business College as well as with her own team. She headed up with her husband, Ian. We have a fabulous conversation that just ranges from topics like 90s grunge to spoken word and poetry to natural healing to coffee. And of course, we talk about the Pittsburgh 48-hour film project and filmmaking and writing and everything that goes along with that. So hopefully you will get some tips, you will learn some stuff, and you will just laugh and enjoy and have some fun. Words of wisdom. You are good enough, smart enough, beautiful enough, and strong enough. Believe it and never let insecurity run your life. Well, Kelly Grieve, welcome to the Rugged Angel podcast.
Hello, glad to be here.
Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a long, hard road, apparently, trying to get us together to be able to do this. But, technical.
Hopefully we can keep at it.
Yeah. We're going to get this done. We're going to work through this hour together. You and I. We're going to get her done. So you're from Pittsburgh originally, right?
Well, I'm from a small town at 2 hours north and east of Pittsburgh called Du Bois.
Okay.
But I lived in Pittsburgh for 5 years. So
okay.
I moved there in 96 and I was there till 2001. So I know Pittsburgh pretty well.
Okay. And I know that you recently moved to Savannah.
I did 9 months ago. Around Halloween.
What brought that on?
Well, for one, the weather. Where we are, I mean, it's always rainy and there's clouds, and I don't know, 36 years, 7 years of that, I said, I'm done. I have some good weather. Also, there's a thriving film scene here. So we came down for that for my husband.
Oh, cool.
Well, and I guess for me too.
Yeah. So I'm assuming you're enjoying Savannah so far.
Oh man, yes. The weather itself is just a reason to be here. So
I hear it's a beautiful place. Like it's like really nice greenery and whatnot, and just
the trees. I fell in love with the trees, and the ocean being 20 minutes away doesn't hurt either.
Wow.
Yeah, anytime
Lucky.
it's nice.
How's your summer been so far then?
Good. Hot. It started really hot, 100 degrees. Everybody's sweltering. Yeah. You know, when the summer solstice, it's definitely hot. It's apparently unseasonable. I guess it's like that in August. So.
Oh, okay. Well, at least you know it's not the norm.
I hope not.
It was just Savannah's way of welcoming you. Hey, this is what we have to offer.
Yeah. Now take it. Here's your son. You wanted this. Now you got it.
Well, tell me a little bit about yourself, like outside of being from Du Bois and, you know, moving to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Du Bois is a kind of small town, and just kind of hang out. I would call it a truck stop town. That's kind of what I think of it as, like just right off I-80, and it's kind of like, there's a bunch of sheets. I think we have like 3 sheets, and might be 4. I think 3 off the top of my head in town, and just peppered with little businesses, bars and churches and clubs, things like that. And but I decided I was bored after 18 years and said, please get me out of here. I want to go to Pittsburgh. Let me do something. Like disaffected grunge 90s teenager.
Yeah.
Like, get me out of here. I went out, and we moved into a house in Bloomfield where I don't know, it might have been like, there were definitely like 4 other women living there. For a while, we just had a whole bunch of people, probably like 10 people at once.
Yes.
Yeah, and then we had to branch out because we were driving each other crazy.
Well, you know, youth when you're young and, you know, your first time out of your parents' house, anything goes. You're just like, fine, yeah, 10 people in 2 bedrooms. Sure, we can cram that in. We can make that work.
We did for a while.
We're just partying.
Yeah, we were. We thought like we were partying, and then we had to branch out because we were like, you know, it turned into a reality TV show, a drama and junk. So we said, forget it. Let's try to be normal. And
yeah, exactly.
And so we moved from Bloomfield to. I honestly lived in 5 different neighborhoods in 5 years when I lived in Pittsburgh. So I went from Bloomfield to Greenfield, and then I lived there and worked coffee. Worked at a natural health store. Actually, 2 of them. Worked coffee again. I'm a coffee freak, for one. So that'll be part of my part of our segment later.
Gotcha.
But and then I ended up getting into natural medicine. I went to massage school.
Oh wow.
And I'm actually, sadly, I've had to stop after 10 years of doing massage. I had to quit because I've had some skin issues, and I'm like, well, I can't identify them yet, so I've had to take a massage hiatus until further notice.
Oh no.
I hate it, but my body just kept rejecting it. It's like, hey, you want to do massage here? Here's a rash. I'm like, no, I don't want to give people that, and I don't want it myself, so let's stop for a while. And I don't know what it is. Doctors just say it's eczema, so maybe it's just eczema. I don't know.
It could be. I used to have eczema growing up.
Did you?
Yeah, but I grew out of it when I want to say like by the time I was like, I don't know, 25 or something. But I would always notice that it would flare up most like, you know, when it was really hot weather for one. And then like if I had a lot of sugary things or high fructose corn syrup, things like that, that would definitely cause it.
Well, you just keep bringing up my top 5.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to the Pittsburgh 48-hour film project.
Yeah. After Pittsburgh, I ended up going back home. I'll try to jump around, and being home for a long time, I met my husband. He and I met in the community theater in our hometown, and we were there for quite a few years, and we ended up being commissioned, or more like asked by the local film students in our business college to do acting for them, for their student film. And that was kind of cool because we never really had anything like that. And it seems that John Russo and Russ Striner from The Night of the Living Dead they came up and they were mentors to these students. So there was
Right.
a film program there in our tiny little business college. So they were helping out, and we were being asked to do the film. So we started hanging out with the students and making movies.
Okay, so you weren't enrolled at Du Bois Business College?
No. I was just part of the community theater.
Okay.
So they commissioned us to help because it's a small town. You need to find actors. It's hard to find them. And we did that, and then we ended up trying for the 48 then. So we had a team in 2012. We were actors in it, and I think 2013, my husband and I were actors in it as well. And then 2014, we said, hey, let's just lead it. Let's try it. And it worked out really well, I think, for what we had. Everybody had a good time.
Didn't you end up, what was your team name in 2014?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Now, the first, before you guys had your own team, you were always with Du Bois Business College?
No, that was just something. Actually, we formed the team, and it just so happened that members of the business college were going to be part of our team.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah, there were really two that were actually in the college, and then there was there was a couple that were alumni from there. But, yeah, my husband and I wanted to start it, and the business college itself was just kind of, well, if we're going to utilize the equipment there and yada, yada, stuff like that, then we have to use their name. So that's what happened.
Okay.
Doing it that way. So that's how we got the team name.
Okay. So what was when you guys formed your own, you said, what was your team name then?
We hadn't led the team before that. We were just actors in the previous years.
Okay.
So we were just part of the other teams. I'm trying to remember what the first one is. Hilariously, I believe it's Team Ramrod.
I remember that. Yeah.
One. Yeah. So we just ended up being part of Team BBC in 2013 and 14 because, first one that was led by other students, and then the second time we just were utilizing the equipment and we were utilizing things at the school. So they said, "Oh, we'll take on our team name." So we did.
Okay.
Like so it's kind of conditional. Like if you want to use our stuff, use our name. So
totally understand. So you mentioned that in 2014 it worked out well for you guys. Why do you say that?
Because we got best runner-up film.
That's
and we
right.
got best photography, and we were really, really excited. The way we yelled, you thought we'd have won the whole thing. We were about to scream and we were just really pleased with ourselves that we did as well as we did. We were like, wow, really? I think we were all astonished that we got that far.
Well, tell me about the first time that. Well, first of all, what was the name of that film?
The one from 2014.
Yeah.
Heels on Wheels.
That's right.
Yep,
yeah, I like that one. That was a good one. Okay, so the first time that tell me about your experience with the 48-hour film project.
You mean the 2012?
Yeah, the first time,
okay.
how, what you were feeling, once you got immersed into it.
Well, we didn't feel terribly stressed, only because we knew how to act a long time and do a lot of waiting, and we'd already been doing films with our friends in independent films, so we knew there was a lot of okay, gather up all this junk, and okay, wait, and okay, we do the camera junk, all that, all the technical difficulties,
right?
Stuff like that, and then costuming. Just we were kind of already knew what it was about because we had done it for fun. And so when we got into it with 48, it was just compressed. But in 2012, we weren't really very responsible for the whole thing. We just had to act.
Okay.
And that's easy. It's easy to act for us. So it's the easy part. The acting part's the easy part. It's everything else, the hard part. The production part of it, the crew part is the hardest part, in my opinion, of the 48-hour. Yeah, because it's just so much time. It's so much time consumption. Acting can be done quickly if you do it right.
Yeah.
Crew needs the time that they need.
When did you take on the other a crew role?
In 2014, that's when we said, okay, let's try it. And we were really confident anyway. We had already worked with everybody that we thought might want to join us. So
Mm-hmm.
I said to my husband, hey, let's do this. I'm like, what do you want to be? Like, what part do you want to play? And he said, I'll direct it. So he did. And, I mean, he was on hand to act just in case he needed to, because that was his forte.
Mm-hmm.
And then our friend, I called a friend, Chad, and I said, hey, what do you want to do? Because he usually writes. And he's like, well, I don't really want to write. I really want to act. We're like, okay. Well, it just kind of went along the line like that. Called our friend the instructor, and he was going to be the director of photography because he was comfortable with that. Everybody did what they loved and what they were at least semi-good at. You know what I mean? Like, and in my opinion, they were all, better than semi-good at it. They were all really talented people. So they all did really well, and they all loved what they did. And that's what I think made it more successful. Just we enjoyed the process.
Yeah, definitely. That'll make the big difference, like the biggest difference of all. If you're already doing something that you love and then you're good at, then yeah, you're gonna do much better. What was your role specifically?
I was producer, and then I also co-wrote with my husband, and acted. I got to be the human statue last year.
Right.
So I got to wear 3 hats, basically.
And were there any of them that you enjoyed more than acting?
I love writing. I've got to say, like, at this point, I've been focused on writing more, so I really want to, perfect my writing. I mean, I love to act, but I don't always fit the bill or what role they need. So for me, writing is great because you get to be part of the conception of the idea. You have a lot of creative power.
Right.
So I love that. I love being the idea man, so to speak.
Is there a specific genre you prefer that you lean towards more?
For me, I happen to be. It's weird. Like, if I should be doing documentaries because I'm very like non-fictional, but I've been forcing myself to do fiction. Maybe I'll end up being doing a biopic or something like that because it's a lot harder for me to do fiction. That's what I'm working on, doing fiction. So,
what do you find difficult about doing fiction?
I am not good at fantasy worlds. I like to turn things into reality. I love realistic, applicable things. For me, fantasy isn't worth having fantasy unless you can make it a reality.
Oh.
I'm strange, I guess. But yeah, I think fantasy should become reality. I think, dreams should come to life. So
I like it.
I guess that's why I like film. Because you kind of do that, at least you can pretend.
Yeah, definitely. And
so I guess that's where my fantasy lies.
What would you want to do a documentary on, or who would you like to do a biopic on?
Oh, I would probably do my own. I'd probably just do the story of my life.
Yeah?
Because it's odd. It's a strange story. I've had some ideas with it. Basically as a 90s piece. Because it was in the thick of the grunge era and stuff like that. So
I do love a good 90s story.
Yeah, there's some wild characters, and the music would be amazing, I think. I think the music would be the best part.
Definitely.
Granted, you could get permission to use it, That would be the hard part.
So do you have anything on the top of your head, like any of your wild characters that are just kind of...
Oh, the wild character the wild character would be this. It's basically a person who has a social disorder, but they're very gifted and very talented, and
isn't that always the case though?
Oh man, yeah, almost borderline psycho in a funny way. Yeah, if you're crazy, like a lot of times the craziest ones are the most gifted, and that's kind of scary. But
right?
Yeah, yep, that would be my weird character. Yeah, if I were gonna. Yeah, I have one in mind, but since it's kind of personal, I have to really fashion this character into something larger than life, like something that wasn't actually happening to me in my life, but, fictional. That's the hard part for me, turning that character into a fictional character.
Wow. So have you always had an interest in film?
I've always liked film. I haven't always had an interest in film. I've always had an interest in writing. I've written poetry since I was 8.
Oh, man.
So yeah, I've been writing for a really long time, and it's not, like I said, not fiction writing, but poetry. I love poetry. I love to write poetry. I love spoken word. This is the first year I've ever gone to a spoken word in Savannah, and I loved it. It was great. Spoken word festival. Loved it. I just
Have you
really ate
performed?
it up.
Have you performed any of your poetry?
I haven't, and I can't wait to. I'm excited to. It's going to be different. I'm not used to sharing that personal information in a public forum so much.
Right.
Well, I am with when I've shared poems on Facebook, but like to actually deliver it with your own emotion,
Yeah.
that's vulnerable.
That's definitely that's so much different than just like typing the words out, just putting it out there and just kind of walking away. As just you standing in front of people and tell and just actually speaking the words to and in their face, like with you, like, yes, hey, I wrote this, and these are my feelings. Here, take them, please.
Yeah.
Handle with care.
I've never seen poetry in Pittsburgh. Is there poetry? Is there a poetry like I never got
I know that
experience.
there are a few things here or there. Like my husband, he is a poet. Like he writes poetry,
Okay.
and he doesn't really perform it. He actually, like the last few years, he's decided to change those poems into songs. So he's like kind of shifted over into songwriting. So he has been doing like maybe not the last couple years, but he was doing some like open mic nights and stuff like that with just him and his guitar up there singing his songs. But I know there are a couple things. I think Chatham University has some sort of um, club or something called, they do a thing every so often called Word Circus, and I think
Cool.
they get people to come out and do their read maybe short stories or their poetry or do some spoken word and stuff. I am not one for really going to spoken word events, so I wouldn't really know about that.
Yeah,
scene.
yeah. It wasn't a huge scene at least when I was in Pittsburgh, but that was a long time ago, so it's hard to say. Now, for me, I would not have any idea. But down here it was great to see that. They're really, really political and deep, and wow, I love them. I really enjoy it.
Well, that's great. So maybe next year you'll be part of the festival.
Maybe. I don't know. There's some great readers. I think I need to brush up a little bit before I'm part of the festival. They're pretty amazing.
What goes on at at the festival? Is it?
They're competitive, so it's a competitive. It's funny because I got to be a judge.
Oh,
which
cool.
is great. I enjoyed being a judge. They just I guess with a slam, it's a spoken word poetry slam, and with a slam, I guess you just get picked out at random because if you know the poet, that's a bad thing. They want an impartial person. So
right.
I got to be picked because of my impartiality, which was great because I didn't know anybody. So I got to, it was hard to do a 1 through 10. You have to get, rate each poet.
Oh yeah.
And it's hard from the beginning, from the get-go, because you don't want to diss the first poet. It's hard to tell from all the other poets how well the first one does, and then you can change it. And they do multiple poems each person, so you can, if you think they're a better poet later, you can, maybe eke up the number, make sure that they got what you didn't give them in the first place. But yeah, it's neat, and I enjoyed it. I had a great time.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a good time.
It's engaging. It's more engaging than you think.
Yeah, I bet it is. So so back to the 48. So was there anything that you learned about yourself while you were in the years that you were participating, like any particular skills that you may have picked up that you didn't know that you had, or something that you learned about your own character?
Yeah, I learned I could write faster than I thought.
No?
and fiction. I learned I could write dialogue quicker than I imagined with my husband. I think because we play off each other well. I learned that I'm a good producer, but I don't enjoy it as much. Just because it's just a stressful thing. Like getting this and getting that. It's multitasking. Not that I mind it. I end up doing it, but it reminds me of being a mom. You kind of have to be use your both hemispheres of the brain and go back and forth, and it's very chaotic.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, the corpus callosum. Yeah, I would call it your mom always has eyes in the back of her head, and it reminds me of being a mother. Being a producer is like being a mom.
Yeah,
and a nagging mom at that, who has to do everything. So I learned that I don't love producing, but I can do it. I learned that I like writing, and of course I always like acting. That's never an issue with me. But I learned I was good at. I learned how to collaborate better. I learned how to shut up too. I learned how to be like quiet. Let this person. You know what I mean? You have to collaborate. That's the biggest thing I learned is collaboration. How important it is.
Yeah, it definitely is. And sometimes, if you don't play well with others, then, that becomes difficulty. And it's
Yeah.
really good that you learned to go ahead and to do that. Some people just don't want to. It's like, oh, it's my way. If you don't do it my way, I'm taking my toys and I'm going home. So it's
Right.
it's definitely growth, and
Yeah,
I
for
could see
sure.
that a lot with a lot of people, a lot of the teams that have come through. So you
Yeah.
have you your husband's name is Ian, correct?
Yeah. Correct.
Okay. Have you guys worked together a lot creatively?
Yeah, we end up doing it because we're just together a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we try to do things individually, and it's funny how we just end up, in the same, two different ingredients in the same mixture end up, making more sense.
Right.
So when we did that, we're like, hey, we really realized that we could actually collaborate that way, and that we were more comedic and we're better comedic writers.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
It's
not
funny.
something that a lot of people can do.
Yeah, I guess we're just strange enough. You gotta be strange.
So tell me about your time in the theater, in your community theater.
Oh yeah, my husband and I actually met in the community theater.
Okay.
His mother called me up. I was pregnant. My husband's actually he's stepdad to my daughter.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I was pregnant 5 months when I got this call from what would have been my husband's mother. His
Mm-hmm.
mother called me because she was part of the theater. She was the administrator in the theater at the time, and she called me, and I'm pregnant with my daughter. It was 2005, and she says, "Hey, can you be in this part? Some girl dropped out." And I said, "What is it about?" She goes, "Well, we have 10 days till show, and it's opening night in 10 days. Can you learn your lines quick? And do you think could you wear a corset?
Oh
Or how
God.
big are you? How pregnant are you?" And I said, I was 5 months, and I wasn't quite poking out. And I'm like, but it could be any time. So I ended up being in this show, having to learn my lines in 2 days, and being in the show 10 days later. And
Oh
that's where I met
goodness.
my husband backstage. Funny as that is. And about a year and a half later, our lives took us in separate directions, but then we came back together a year and a half later, and we were together.
Oh.
But
So
yeah,
you're.
he's been in the community theater. Oh gosh, I think he said his first children's workshop was like he was 5.
Oh
And
man.
so he's been in there a long time. And I think I'm my husband's biggest fan, honestly. And I always tell people he's an amazing actor. I think he is. So, but of course, he's my husband. I'm gonna think that.
Of course. Yes, you
Yes.
have to be his biggest fan.
Yep. Yep. I sure
You
am.
need to make sure that you got that support group at
Yep.
home to
Oh
like make
yeah.
sure that you can recognize your talent and your skill, but also there to help with creative criticisms if necessary.
And I am a huge critic. Actually, the only college paper I ever got an A+ on was a critique of a play. So when I say my husband's a good actor, it's not because I'm not a critic. I certainly am.
Do you ever think about going into that and like being a film critic or a
Oh,
theater
I'd love to.
critic?
I don't actually know how you'd begin to do that. So if you have any, if you have
Well,
any
I
recommendations,
mean,
I'll take it.
yeah, I don't know about like getting. I would imagine in 2015, the way to start now is just to have a blog, or
Yeah.
you can just
Yep.
do it yourself, and then once that starts to take flight, then you start. That's when the money and the freebies start rolling in, I guess.
Yeah.
Once you
It's
get a
funny.
name for yourself.
Funny you mentioned that because I was thinking about a blog. I was like, oh, should I do a blog? I don't know. Maybe. I don't
Maybe
know.
you should.
Now that you said that, maybe.
So you have your daughter is 10.
She is 9.
She's
Well,
9.
9.5. So almost 10. Yeah, 9. Yeah, 9. Still 9.
Is she an actress?
She is. Uh, and her first performance was in utero. Isn't that funny?
Oh.
Yeah, she did a children's workshop a couple years ago, and then did a couple student films with us too. Or I don't know, maybe not a student film. Yeah, we did some films with some kids in town. I don't know if they were students, but we did films in town. And then she just did a student film here in Savannah with one of the students, and she was the main character. She played a character named Sam in what was called Madame Curio. She was a little girl who was trying to find a cure for her mother's depression and kind of skipped out at the bus stop one day and just ran off to this magical Madame Curio's place to get a potion to make her mother better, to cure her of depression.
Man,
so that's
heavy.
What she did. And I was the depressed mother, so we got to work together on that one.
That's adorable. Was it the first time you guys worked together on film?
No, not the first time we worked together on film, but on a student film, you know what I mean, that was being turned in for a grade and everything. So, yeah, we're moving up slowly.
Do you guys do a lot of just your own? Are you working on anything right now, on your own films or anything like that?
I'm trying to work on the writing. That's my hardest aspect of it. But since we've moved here, we're still really trying to get to know people. So we haven't done a lot since we moved here. No. 48.
You haven't found the film community yet?
We have found the community, but it's just we don't get out a lot together. My husband works a whole lot at his job, and I'm home a lot with my daughter, and I have no childcare. I'm just a stay-at-home mom right now, but right now
Never say
no childcare.
Never say just
that's right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Like you said, you're a producer. You are your household producer. That's what you are.
That's right. Like I said, it's not my favorite job, but it's necessary. Well, sometimes it is my favorite job. With my daughter, it's different. You know. But being a producer of all other things, I could be like, I could take it or leave it. Maybe I've just done it too long. Get a little burnout. But yeah, I can't wait to be out more. I think we're renting, and we're trying to get settled into a house. And once that happens, I think it'll be a lot easier for us.
Yeah, so, I see that you're still trying to sell your house into Boise?
Yep, we are. Yep, we're still in the process of kind of moving. You know what I mean? Our stuff.
Oh, yeah.
We're trying to get it, but we can't bring it down here where we live too tiny. So once we move into a house, we can bring the rest of our life with us and hopefully start building it bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, man, like moving in general is just a drag or just extremely stressful, but then to do it in another state and you're trying to sell a house that you were coming from, and it's
a shock. It's definitely a shock, but it's necessary. I think you need the challenge in your life. Human beings have to change. It's necessary.
I think being too comfortable is a problem. It can be problematic for you.
That is a problem. And that was for us where we were from too. We just reached the end of our resources. So we're like, okay, let's expand. And you have to leave to expand sometimes.
Oh yeah,
so we did.
Sometimes you outgrow the space.
We're actually in the 48 this year. At least we're on hand for a team down here.
Oh really?
Team Mojave. They're doing their 48. I think you guys are doing it next. Is it this week coming? Or
next weekend, July 10th.
And ours is the 17th through the 19th here. So that's when ours will happen. But we're on hand as actors this time. We tried to form our own team, but it was just too hectic and too pricey at the moment. We're just, really tight on money. So we were like, let's just be there for a team.
Well, it makes sense. And plus, you're still getting to know the area, getting to know the lay of the land. Just ease on into it. You don't want to do too much too fast.
Well, you want to learn who's best at collaborating with you. Who you fit with.
Yeah, you don't want to get stuck with a bunch of folks that you can't work with.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it. You can muddle through, but who wants to do that? You want to enjoy it.
Nobody. Right? That's who. Exactly.
Right.
So when your life gets a little too hectic and stressful, how do you handle stress personally? What do you do to distress?
Depends on the stress. Poetry is my number one. I'll just write. I'll write, and I'll try to find a way to. It's my own therapy, kind of. I just kind of write through problems sometimes, and it's interesting. And music, of course. Music's great. Music can break you down when you can't figure it out. You can't write it out, and you can't see it in front of you. Music can kind of just elicit emotions and kind of break through for you. So that's,
Amen,
yeah.
sister. Yeah, like music, that is like the number one thing that just kind of
Yes.
like, because I'm not good at verbalizing my emotions. Like I'm working on that as to better myself. But
Yeah.
like music,
Worth it.
that'll definitely like bring it home. Like I can be like, I can't tell you exactly the words of how I feel, but listen to the song and you'll know.
Right, right. Because if you can't, somebody else can.
Right.
They're out there speaking for you, and that's what's great about music. And lyrics are my favorite part of music. Like, if you've got really terrible lyrics, I mean, you better have a hilarious song, because otherwise I don't even want to hear it.
Yes, exactly. So
And then
what?
pair that. Go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
go ahead.
I was just going to say pair the music with exercise, and then you really have, motivation going. You can do a lot better if you can put exercise with that. So go out and take
Yeah,
some.
I had to figure out that part of it. I'm still missing that
Yeah.
aspect,
You'll get there.
the exercise.
You'll get there.
I think right
When
now
you have
my only thing is just I walk the dogs, so I'm doing that's my part. That's my exercise for the most
That's a
part.
beginning. That's a beginning. Yeah. Start somewhere.
So you're a you're 90s kid. You're mentioning. So what year did you graduate from high school, if you don't mind?
96. Yeah, no, I don't mind. 96.
96. All right, yeah. So we're like definitely close in age. I graduated in 94, so we're definitely like
Oh,
right
yeah.
in
Oh,
that,
yeah, for sure.
that 90s grunge. I miss it
Yeah.
so much era.
The Kurt Cobain vigil. That was your year. Oh, boy.
Yeah, but what's weird is at that point in time, I didn't really even he wasn't on my radar. Nirvana wasn't
Oh,
on my
yeah.
radar.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
like
Oh,
I went to Catholic school, and we would say
yeah.
prayers beforehand, before each class or in the beginning of the day we would say prayers, and then the teacher would allow, it was if anybody would like to pray for anyone in particular, and some girl was like, I want to pray for Kurt Cobain, who
Wow.
died last night, blah blah. I'm like, who's Kurt Cobain? I don't understand. So I don't think it was probably until like 96 was when I really got like the kick. It was when I got my real introduction to grunge music. I had a friend, Amy Weiss. Thank you, Amy, for introducing me to all of that. It was like probably 95, 96 when it was just like, Bush, Stone Temple Pilots, Pearl Jam, Nirvana and Red Hot Chili Peppers. And just like everybody was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I think the first thing was probably I saw Interstate Love Song music video.
Nice.
And yeah, exactly. And Scott Weiland there, like with the feather boa and like his cowboy hat, and I'm like, who is this gorgeous creature?
He is hot. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah. So yeah, but I do miss that music so much.
Nice. Yeah, it was funny. The first time I ever saw a band, I was in I believe, well, not ever. I mean, I saw Sheena Easton when I was little.
Nice.
But like the first time I was a teenager and never saw, something live, I got to go to the Graffiti, which is a defunct club, that was in, is that North Oakland?
Yeah.
Right by the Filmmaker, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. It's like down the block. It's like a couple blocks down from Pittsburgh Filmmakers.
Yeah, I don't know if they turned it into a parking lot right there. I think they might have, but the Graffiti.
Like the last thing I remember, it was like a Porsche dealership or something.
Yep, exactly. Which is sad because the Graffiti was a great club. I went to see awesome. Mighty Mighty Boss Tones in 1993 at the Graffiti.
Oh, that's awesome.
And, yes, I know. Well, it's funny because I didn't even know who they were. I went to the Graffiti. I'm like 15, right, with my friends. My mom let me go. I can't believe it. And so I went, and there's a huge mosh pit, and there's crazy horns blowing, and And,
that must have been so fun.
I was blown away. I loved it. And then I went home, and the next day I'm like watching MTV, right? Because I'm 15.
Right.
Like, holy crap.
As you do. As you did in the 90s.
They were on there. That was Mighty Mighty Boston came right on. I'm like, I just saw them yesterday. I was really blown away. I'm like, oh my God, man, I just saw them. Awesome.
That's pretty great.
I felt cutting edge,
Yeah. Like I think the very first concert that I went to, and I was probably like 18 or 19 when I finally went to my first concert. It was Lollapalooza.
Oh yeah.
96, and that was a whole STP, and I think Cypress Hill. Beck was like on a side stage at that point. Like it was right before Beck was like, big or anything like that. It was such a good time.
Yeah, I saw Lollapalooza '94, the year that Kurt Cobain was shot, and
Wow.
Courtney Love left the stage. I don't know what happened. Someone either threw some. There were two stories. Someone said, "Oh, somebody threw a bullet on stage,"
Oh, crap.
which was one. Which I was like, then I'm like, well, of course she'd leave. And then
Right.
someone else had like a laser pointer, and that was the other story. That somebody had a laser pointer and she freaked out and ran off stage. So I don't know. I don't know the truth. I just
Wow.
know. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, when I saw her in '96, she started to fight with somebody in the audience. Like,
She is entertaining. She is entertaining.
if
That's
nothing
just
else, she puts on a good show.
Yes, she does. Yep.
All right, cool. So I guess we're gonna take a quick break, and then we're gonna come back with your top 5 and your getting to know you question.
Okay.
Hey there. I hope you are enjoying this episode of the Rugged Angel podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. So, does the Pittsburgh 48-Hour Film Project sound like fun to you? Well, there is still time to get involved. The actual filmmaking weekend is happening next weekend, July 10th through 12th. Go to 48hourfilm.com/Pittsburgh for more information as well as to register. If you don't want to make a film, but you do want to see all the films, come out to the Hollywood Theater on July 19th, 20th, and or the 21st. Like the Pittsburgh 48-Hour Film Project Facebook page to stay in the loop. Now back to the show. All right, we are back with Kelly Grieve, and we're going to get into her top 5 list. And the list that I assigned to Kelly is the top 5 things you geek out over. Now, and I also complete a list as well, so I will share mine after you share yours.
Okay.
And, I'm super stoked to hear this.
Oh boy! Well, the funny part is you've heard most of it already.
Okay.
I love coffee. And
So you just geek out over coffee.
Yeah, number one's coffee and food. Do you want me to go through the whole list, like 1 through 5, or do you want me to just kind of elaborate on each?
You can elaborate. Yeah, go just like, yeah, you can elaborate on each one as you go.
Okay. Coffee and food. I moved to Pittsburgh in '96, like I said, and when I did, I worked at a little cafe, another defunct one in Bloomfield, and it was called El Dolce. You'll know it as, and it may not be this anymore, but the last time I saw it was called the Crazy Mocha.
Yeah, still there.
So the Crazy Mocha, I used to work there, but it used to be called El Dolce, and it was this little, coffee shop that had amazing Italian food and drinks, and I had my first espresso, and I was out of there. It was coffee after that for the rest of my life, and I love coffee. I can't drink as much caffeine as I used to, but I sure do love it, and I love it here. Big foodie, and the owners of that old cafe, I remember her name was Marisa, and she used to make tiramisu that was a parfait.
That is my favorite dessert in the world.
Oh, but it wasn't a cake. It wasn't a cake. It was a parfait. This is before I ever had tiramisu. The first tiramisu I ever had was this an amazing Italian parfait, and it was like ladyfingers dipped in fresh espresso and mascarpone and like whipped cream, Kahlua, chocolate syrup. It was a parfait, and it was amazing. And then I went home to my hometown, and they finally had tiramisu like 4 years later, and I had a bite, and it was this wet cake, and I was so disappointed. I was spoiled by the city. I was spoiled by Squirrel Hill. Squirrel Hill was amazing. It had bagels. I gained so much weight, I can't tell you. Bagels, and I worked at a Jewish pastry place.
Oh,
so
man.
Babka and hamantashen and all this amazing Jewish pastry. And, yeah, I got spoiled there. And then I think that's partly the other reason why I'm in Savannah, because I can't handle, like, not having food.
So, two questions.
Yeah,
two questions about that.
Great. Oh, yeah?
So you get into there with, like, like the beans and the roasting of that. And, like, are you, like, that much into coffee? Like, are you...
Yes, actually, not that far. I haven't roasted my own, let's just say that. But I befriended a guy because I was looking for a good roaster locally, because I like to do the local thing. Like, I really believe in local, buying local. It's put your money where You want to
Right.
go, you want it to go to that service. So I found this guy called, his name was Matt Shea, and he's a roaster for Happy Mug. I think he is the roaster. He's the owner of Happy Mug Coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe he's in Edinburgh, and I started writing him. I'm like, hey man, like I really like your coffee, and so he started sending me these cool samples whenever I'd buy a whole pound. He would send me samples, and I just started collecting them like some kind of freak. And my home actually, it so happened that there was a coffee shop changing hands in my hometown, and they called me and they said, we heard you're a coffee snob or freak. Tell us what to buy. And I told them to buy this. And
awesome.
So I believe they still carry it.
Wow.
And yeah, but he's my favorite. Actually, up in Pennsylvania. If you want to buy local in Pennsylvania, it's pretty close to you guys.
Happy Mugs?
Happy Mug Coffee. Matt will love me for it.
Nice.
And now that I'm down here in Savannah, there's Perk. Perk is my favorite down here.
Mm.
Yep, favorite roaster.
Shout out to Perk in Savannah.
Shout out to Perk. Yeah, I'll be doing a bunch of shout outs unless you tell me not to.
No, totally fine. Maybe you can critique food. Maybe you get yourself a food blog or like a coffee snob blog.
Oh man.
That's because apparently, people need guidance on this sort of thing, which that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. That's the ticket.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Well, I used to be a barista there. I used to be a barista in Pittsburgh at another defunct place called Java Jeff's Coffee House. I don't know if the Pleasant Present still exists on Murray Avenue.
Oh, I loved the Pleasant Present. I don't think it's there anymore. I think.
Whatever's there now. Before it was Pleasant Present, it was Java Jeff's Coffee House. It was the first cyber cafe in Pittsburgh.
Really?
It was run by this little Jewish guy, Jeff, and I was a barista there, and I just jumped being a barista like ever since. So I was I worked at a Starbucks in the Barnes and Noble, I think, when it was in Squirrel Hill. Honestly, I'm talking about like dinosaur stuff now.
Yeah, no, I remember. I missed that Barnes and Noble in Squirrel Hill.
Yeah. One of my favorites is the Coffee Tree Roasters, and I believe it's still there. It's a great place. And,
that's good
of course,
stuff.
the one in Lawrenceville, that's another, what are they called? What's their name in Lawrenceville? You see, I'm geeking out already. I'm going geek on you.
Yeah, I know there's a crazy mocha here.
Espresso Amano. That's the one.
Yes.
They're great. They're excellent. Mm-hmm.
Yep, still here.
Last time I went to Pittsburgh to the 48 competition, the places I went were Espresso Amano, and I went to, what is the French bakery?
Oh, I know what you're talking. It's also in Lawrenceville.
La Gourmandine. That's it. La Gourmandine. Yep.
I haven't been there yet.
Oh my gosh, you are missing out. Go.
Well, we actually just moved to Lawrenceville like a month ago.
Then you're in heaven.
And this weekend we have decided, with 3-day weekend, and we've got some guests coming in from out of town, so we've decided to go ahead and be like tourists in our own neighborhood this weekend.
Nice.
So so we'll probably end up there at some point this weekend.
Oh, cool. And then you can tell me what you find, and when I go back, I'll eat there.
Yeah. Have you been to Zeke's coffee?
No. Where's Zeke's?
Here yet? I think there's just the one in East Liberty right now. But and I'm not a coffee snob or anything like that, but they have really good coffee and they're local. So cool. Next time you're here, check out Zeke's.
I'll try everything. Yeah. Awesome. You're shouting out now.
Yeah, Zeke. I would love a free pound of coffee.
Maybe they'll help you with that.
What's next on your list?
Coffee geek. All right. Then I geek out over natural health and healing. I love it.
Awesome.
I worked at, and you will know this one. I'm on the Pittsburgh stomping grounds. Golden Seal. I used to work at Golden Seal. Yes, man. I did. In like 1998, I worked in Golden Seal.
You know what? Our paths probably crossed because that's the time I moved to Pittsburgh in '98. Golden Seal was the only health food store that I could find here because we had already been my family was brought up on like health foods, natural healing and that sort of thing.
Great.
So
That's great.
So when I got here, I was just kind of like a shock. Like, oh my God, I don't know where to get the stuff that I need.
Yeah.
And so like Golden Seal was the I lived in Morningside at the
Okay.
time. So that was like, that was the obvious choice for me. That was the only thing that I found. So yeah, that's really cool.
Oh yeah, I loved it. I learned so much. And Cheryl, shout out to Cheryl, she's still there. She was the manager there, and I like last time I was there, she was the manager too, so she was great. And I learned so much. My first book I bought was called The Yoga of Herbs. It was an Ayurvedic book. I think it's Frawley and Ladd. It may be the two authors, but it was my favorite book, and it talks about herbs as though like they're elemental. The elemental properties of their healing, like this one's cooling and this one's drying, and all the anti-inflammatory and all these crazy words, like demulcent, and going into all the properties of the herb, and then going into the fun part, the Vata. I don't know if I'm going to say these right, but Vata, Pitta, Kapha, which are like the earth, the ether, and then the fire. It's really interesting. It's a very interesting book, but it helped me learn what healed how. Like something was astringent, it would dry something out. It's really neat. So, like I said, geek out on that hard.
What was the name of the book again?
It's called The Yoga of Herbs.
The Yoga of Herbs.
Yeah, it's been around since '98. I'll tell you that. So it's been around a while.
It's like I'll definitely have to check that out because I love that.
Awesome.
I love checking out things like that. Finding out, what natural remedies are out there, and just knowing, because it's so much better. It makes me feel so much better about myself to do something like to use the herbs from the earth as opposed to like over-the-counter medicines.
For certain. I'll tell you, I healed something that doctors couldn't heal of mine for 19 years.
Oh, really?
Simply by working at Golden Seal and just doing my own research. A friend of mine who worked there at the time, she, we were just kind of kicking around ideas like why, because I would have since I was 6 years old, I've had cystitis or recurrent UTIs, urinary tract infections, and I could not get rid of them, and I was given so many antibiotics as a little kid. I was hospitalized at one point for it. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was just a lot of fluids, but you know what I mean? Like I had to learn how to, I had to kind of just spitball it and keep trying things, and I figured out my recipe. You take flaxseed. Flaxseed is the number one thing that saves it, and you can't have sugar. So it goes like this: 1, 2, 3. Take flaxseed, don't have sugar, and don't panic. Those are the 3 things. And the panic is the fun part because I would get urinary tract infections after I would have a panic attack.
Oh, wow.
I had panic attacks when I was younger, and I couldn't have sugar. And if that's like the recipe for disaster is a panic attack and sugar. I'll tell you that. It's so funny because your adrenals are on top of your kidneys. So it's such if you think of it as inflammatory, and see, I'm going off. I'm totally geeking out now.
Totally fine. Let's do it. Come on, let's get in there.
But to women everywhere, just buy flaxseed and stop drinking sugar or stop having sugar, especially drinking sugar.
Oh, my God.
There you go. You won't have to go back to the doctor for urinary tract infections.
Flaxseed is like the miracle oil, seed. It's just, it's amazing. I have taken to putting it, I've gotten the ground flaxseed powdered now, and I've been putting it in my smoothies every day along with the maca. And it's just, it's like you just feel the difference if any, whatever. And it's just really good for even menstrual cramps, like leaving off that. And if you just keep it going like every day, flaxseed oil or flaxseed powder, however you want to consume it.
A great tea for menstrual cramps that you could probably just walk in and buy from Celestial Seasonings. It's called Bengal Spice. And it's the heating herbs in it, and there's no caffeine in it, but all the heating herbs in it are amazing, and they've taken away my cramps more than once. So there you go. Like we're just
nice.
See, we can just totally geek out. Cause
yes.
I love like natural healing. I love being in control of my own health. I hate feeling like I'm helpless and I have to go. I mean, if I cut off my toe or something, I'm going to go to the emergency room. But if I can take care of myself, that's such such freedom, independence.
Oh, most definitely. And you know exactly, what's going on, like the measurements that you're dealing with, and it's just because it's just a natural way to go about things, and it's better.
I feel like my own medicine woman.
Right, and you're not worrying about some weird artificial medicines or whatnot that are creeping up on you, or like whatever those side effects are going to to place upon you, and it's such a better way of living.
Yeah. Well, that's a good segue to the next geek out, and that's
Okay.
I'm really progressive. I'm like a progressive person, and I believe in being free, right?
Mm-hmm.
So having that health freedom, you know what I mean? You want to
Mm-hmm.
be, I believe in like civil rights. So
Mm-hmm.
number 3 is digital activism. I know I can't think of the right word. I'm like, I'm going to look up a word to see what that means. Like, I don't understand what that means because I always get on Facebook and I'm like, oh, I think of this, and I always put on whatever link I like or, something I believe in and I feel strongly about. And I usually just shower my wall with that stuff,
Right.
I believe in protecting your right, being your own person, being genuine, being, and I think there's too much mainstream media and it scares me. And I was looking maybe about 4 years ago for just alternate media, not mainstream. I started watching Democracy Now! And I started learning so much about everything, about like NSA and all the crazy stuff going on. I was just so informed after I started paying attention to them and the alternate news media and it's so cool, like circling back to film. It's the first place I ever saw Laura Poitras, and she was the winner of the Oscar for documentary this past January, I guess.
Oh yeah.
She won the Oscar for best documentary. It's called Citizen 4.
What is that about?
It's basically she's the one who filmed Edward Snowden.
Oh, okay.
So Laura Poitras is the man behind the camera, or woman, shall we say, that filmed Edward Snowden and all that NSA stuff and Glenn Greenwald and that craziness. Like she's the power behind the camera, behind the lens.
Wow.
Yeah. So so I'm really believing that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, mainstream media is definitely garbage. It's they're telling us what they want us to know and distracting with things like Kim Kardashian is pregnant about when other things, more important things, are going on and happening that we're not hearing about. And that's one of the people like you on Facebook that's one of the things that I appreciate about social media. Like, it's very hard. You're hard pressed to find the positives in social media. But one of them is like, there's a lot of times you'll end up with the right group of friends or, followers or following the right people. And they are sharing these ideas and these news stories that are happening. And, plus we are in control of it ourselves because, you got people on the ground. Everybody's got a camera phone in their hand, in their pocket, and purse. And it's, we can see immediately what's happening and we don't need some talking heads to let us know like what their version of what happened.
Yeah. All right. For sure. Yeah, I totally agree. And isn't there a site for that? Like I think there's a site for something like that where you can it's I can't remember the name of it, but it's where you can if you got something happening, and it's like you said on the ground, and you can share it pretty immediately. I wish I could remember the site or I'd plug it.
I don't know.
It's pretty neat. It's amazing. But yeah, it's you're saying stuff about people, just freedom. I believe in your freedom. I believe in us being our own individual self, and going back to film. I love stuff like this. I cried when Laura Poitras won. I cried because, I mean, everybody else won, and I didn't really bat that much of an eye, but when she won, I said, that means so much that the Academy recognized her effort.
Right.
That she actually had to take herself out of this country and put herself somewhere else to keep herself safe just for covering this stuff.
Right.
I'm probably a target just for talking about it. I hope not, but
I hope not.
It's so widely talked about anymore. Like you said, social media is great. Thank you, for keeping us wise to the
exactly
noise. Stay under that goofy, crazy radar they're just trying to distract us with. Yep, and so I guess to geek out, going to the right. I guess my next one, number 4, is writing. So let's go into writing because that's. And lyrics. You'd already mentioned this. It's funny. You were mentioning your husband and lyrics and writing. And like I said, I did poetry since I was 8. And I believe in poetry or writing as therapy. Like if you can't afford a therapist, write and dance and sing and, listen to music.
Mm-hmm.
Those things can save you. Those things can save you from, I believe, anything. And I think writing, it's so important to know to have folklore, to have stories, wisdom that can carry on, you know, and you can reflect. And that's partly why I've really loved coming into like writing as, you know, in film. I really want to be that person that helps execute the new movement of something forward, the new progressive thought, or, you know, just to be a part of that, to change the world.
Mm-hmm.
Change the world just by, you know, it's like a domino effect. The little domino hits the bigger domino and keeps going down.
Yeah.
And I want to write that way to help that, you know, that change happen. To watch those dominoes fall.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, you know, the written word is definitely a major importance in humanity, and, you know, just the way that we grow and learn things, and you know, getting those stories passed along through generation to generation.
Yeah, I was watching. I'm trying to remember who it was. That's gonna kill me. I'm a big fan of like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and all that.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge fan of that stuff, right? And Gilligan, that's it. Vince Gilligan, who wrote that. It's funny. I was watching like a YouTube video on it, and this woman was like, you know, I read this. You know, and she was doing some kind of interview, or they were, I don't know, recognizing him for some award or something. And she was saying, I was noticing that I read this script, and it reads like a comedy. And it's funny because you see it, and it doesn't look like a comedy, but when you think about it, because she said there's a lot of like just kind of screwing up as a human, just human nature, just to fumble your way through life. There's a lot of fumbling if you pay attention to it in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
So like all that fumbling that happens, you know what I mean? She said it read like a comedy, almost like a Mo Larry Curly thing. Like
That's funny. I know when you think about it, and when you think about it that way, I would love to see somebody recut one of the episodes as a comedy.
Yeah, and they could probably put it in Breaking Bad if they ever brought it back. I don't know if they were going to. I heard rumors, but I don't know. Oh, that would
be crazy. I really hope not, because, you know, I mean, as much as I love the show, they ended it perfectly, and
it needs to be where it needs to end.
Yeah, just leave it alone. Like we'll go ahead and live vicariously through the Better Call Saul.
Please don't.
Right.
I hate the reboots. Oh, they're driving me crazy. The Goonies, I'm like, stop it. Like, don't do it. Like, don't do Goonies. Please don't reboot these things. You're great. They're
redoing The Craft, which was extremely upsetting to me.
I know. I saw that. I think you put that up on Facebook, and I saw it.
It's just ridiculous. I mean, can't we just please just let it be? It's like there are a million and bajillion one. There are independent writers and filmmakers out there coming up with fresh new ideas. Hollywood, how about you just tap into one of those? How about we open the gates to some lesser knowns and figure out, you know, what the next big thing is? Let's leave the stuff that was like the 80s and 90s films alone.
Let's be original. Don't do gems. Be original. Don't do it again. Like, be original. And we're going right into my number 5. That's authenticity. I believe in being authentic. Like the world. You're not supposed to fit a mold. Be a pioneer. Create your own niche.
I love that.
Stop that group thought. Stop that brainwashing junk. We all are unique. We have gifts.
Yeah.
We're supposed to fulfill those gifts.
I dig it. I love it. That's a great one.
My favorite. I was going to say. I actually wrote this down. I wrote serve a special purpose, and I'm like, special purpose. It made me think of The Jerk. Like, I don't know if you know The Jerk, but a special purpose. It's my special purpose.
Yes.
That's it. You just got to listen to Steve Martin. And
right. Whenever Steve Martin gets thrown into a conversation, it's a win. It's a good day.
So it's time to watch The Jerk again, I guess.
Yes.
It's coming up. It's resurfacing.
If they try to remake that, I'm going to boycott Hollywood.
No, it's time to just blow it up if they do that. That's wrong.
Just burn it down and salt the earth.
I shouldn't have said anything. Now they're going to wreck it. Now they're going to totally wreck it. You dare ruin The Jerk.
Oh, okay. So my list is not quite as insightful as yours.
But
there's sure It's just like a lot because there's a lot of things that I geek out over, and it's always just like little things, and it's like because I'm usually a real like cool, like laid back individual that's just kind of like, I'm really even keel for the most part. But when I
So
geek
you
out
don't
about
geek
something,
out. You kind of just
no,
geek
no, but
chill.
when I geek out about something, I geek out like seriously,
Okay. Nice.
it's very apparent that oh my god, Camila's freaking out about this right now. So
Awesome.
like
I can appreciate that.
yeah, like one example is when my sister and I went to see New Kids on the Block like 2 years ago. She
Nice.
came to town to see New Kids, and this is our first time seeing them in concert. Obviously, like as our age, we were like right there in the midst of when New Kids were big and everything. So that was our thing.
Right.
So
Right.
we go to the show, and like we're both just very even keeled, just like women, and so like we're just standing there, the opening act goes off the stage, which was Boys to Men, which is cool, like, and we had like
great.
really
Oh man,
yeah.
I'd be geeking out on them.
Well, it was so weird. Yeah, it was like I don't know, because we were like still kind of freaked out because we like our seats were amazing. They were like right on the floor, like right at the stage, and so like we were still like kind of in awe of that. Like wow.
Yeah. Wow. We got these seats.
Yeah, exactly. And then so like when it's time for New Kids to come on the stage, like the lights are going down, and then like the music starts, and my sister and I are like jumping up and down, and like we start screaming before the New Kids hit the stage, and we're like, "What is happening? What are we doing right now?"
That's awesome.
So yeah,
my sister and I, the last time we saw a concert was Nine Inch Nails. In '94, right? And we saw him with Marilyn Manson. I mean, but we weren't. I guess we weren't geeking out. We were too far back. We had nosebleed seats. We never did that again. I'll tell you that. It was the pit or nothing. Either the pit or I ain't going.
Right? Yeah. What's the point?
Exactly. I did go see him 2 more times after that. I saw him with David Bowie, and then I saw him with Perfect Circle, and I'm like, yeah, I am never sitting in a seat again.
Yeah.
After that, so, yeah, I learned my lesson.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So that, I guess the New Kids show kind of brings me to my number one is like I kind of geek out over like behind the music or documentaries on musicians. Because it's just like because I love music so much, and I like all different types of music, and when an artist really speaks to me, or when that music really speaks to me, I'm like there for them. I'm standing for that artist, and it's always interesting for me to see like the stories that go into making and creating this music or writing these lyrics, and just what makes this person who they are. So I always just like usually I'll get very emotional about it because it's always something like crazy or tragic that has happened to them that has brought them to this point. And but like I'm like totally just like always just like, oh my god, this is amazing. So yeah. And like the most recent one that I just watched was the one on Nina Simone, and I cried like a baby.
Wonderful.
I cried.
For the first time ever, I saw, what was it? I heard a song by Nina Simone. I'm trying to remember what it was. I'll get back to it, but you keep going about Nina Simone. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nina Simone,
yeah, it was just like, because and it was like one of those things, because like it'll be a lot of mostly like this. If I hear like about somebody's behind the music or their documentary coming out, I'm like marking it on calendars the day it comes out, and like this one it's called What Happened to Simone, and it's on Netflix, and that was I guess Netflix produced it or whatever because it's exclusively on Netflix, and it came out on last Friday, and I was like, and I'm like coming home from work, and I'm like all set and ready to go and raring to go, and it's like I love. Like my favorite Nina Simone song is For Women, and it's just like, and and she's one of those artists that I learned about like by accident, like much later, like in like later in life, like in my adulthood. It was just like somebody randomly played me the song, and I was like, who is this woman? And and then from then on, I was just like, I need all of the music. I need all of the music now. But it was just a really great.
I Got Life is one of my favorite ones she does. And then that's what it was, Pirate Jenny. She does a Pirate Jenny rendition of a song. I'll share it with you because I loved it.
Wow, I don't think I know that.
I don't know if you've ever heard the Pirate Jenny, but
I don't think so.
Pirate Jenny, great. I love her. Yeah, that's
awesome. Yes.
I'm on the darker spectrum, and I geek out over Maynard James Keenan.
Over what?
Maynard James Keenan from Tool. He's one of
Oh,
my favorites. Yeah, if I have my '90s movie, I'll be begging him, please, could I use this into your album? Because I know he's really protective of his stuff too. So.
is he? You just have to make a really good case for it.
You said documentaries. Check out Blood into Wine. I mean, I don't know if you know him, but whoever likes him.
I know who Tool is. Yeah.
Yeah, Tool. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's the man. Yep.
And okay, so that kind of goes into film editing. I get really super hyped about that. I love editing. That's the main reason why I went to the Art Institute. I was like, all I want to do is make movie trailers. So, like, that's my thing. So, like, I absolutely love film editing, and like, there'll be a lot of times like a movie trailer. If it's done right, I will geek out about it. Like I'll sit and watch movie trailers. Like I will find find the channels and like on the YouTubes or whatever, and it's just like I'm just like, yes, movie trailers. I will watch them for like hours, and I can't miss them. Like when it's not when we go to the theater, it's like I need to be there
go to the movie,
with the trailers. Yes, I absolutely have to. And
I'll
like
make to be ready early if I go
exactly.
To the movie.
So like, and I'm like a sucker for like a film that's got like that really like flashy, like the really quick, like something unique about the editing process of the film. It's like I'm always like, oh my god, I'm drawn in instantly. It's like, oh, they're doing this, they're doing something differently here.
What's the new one they had out? Oh man, it's so cinematic. If I could just remember, it was just one of the trailers from we went to see with my daughter. We went to see Cinderella. The feature, and they had an amazing trailer. It just came out recently. If I could remember it, but it was so cinematic. It's something you would totally geek out over. I know it.
Nice.
Move on because I don't remember.
Okay. Randomly, office supplies. Like I love going to Staples and like Office Max or like container. Right, yeah, your pens and like it's just very bizarre, and I feel like my mom, she has the same thing. Like she will just have pens upon pens. Like she's the same way when it comes to like office supplies and stuff. And and I don't know, like Post-its, like brightly colored Post-its. I just love that stuff. And I just get really super excited about it, like in the aisles at Target or like Office Max or whatever, and. Staples.
Awesome. But see, that means you must be a somewhat organized individual because like you've got to like geek out over office supplies if you're organized. You think? Right? I
try very hard. I try very hard to be organized. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Like I'm usually good for like once I clean everything and get it organized, it's good for about a good 48 hours.
Fair. You can make a film about you cleaning.
Right. And then it's done.
Maybe I'll take that idea and we'll use it. Oh, that'd be funny.
That would be hilarious. Please let me know if you do use it.
Can be like geeked out over Post-it. Great.
The violin. That is like one of the most beautiful and sounding instruments to me. Just about any song, if you throw a violin up in there, I'm there for it. That's what I'm here for. And that's like I wanted ever since I was like 8 years old. I wanted to learn to play the violin, but I got piano lessons instead. But like finally, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, my husband bought me a violin for my birthday.
How sweet is he?
Yes. And I started taking lessons, but then my life got too busy. But I'm going to get back to it.
You'll get to it. You love it. You'll get to it.
Yeah,
you'll make
exactly.
time for it.
Exactly. And even I just like even just like playing around. It's still fun. It makes me feel good.
I actually named my daughter after a violinist.
Hannah, really?
Named after a girl. Her name is Hannah Ross, and she's out there somewhere. It wouldn't be weird if she heard this.
Right.
But and she does not know this. I named my daughter after her because I worked with her at Shadyside Natural Foods. She must have been back in 1999, maybe. Mm-hmm. And she was in a band called The Recipe. I don't know if The Recipe still exists. It's like a West Virginia band or a Pittsburgh band, but she was part of the band, and she would play the fiddle or the violin. And she was also in the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra at the time, too. And she was just such the most graceful person. And she was always dodging this one guy's advances at work. He thought he was just, the cat's meow, and she was like, yeah, whatever, you. Like, he thought he was really cute, too, and she was like, whatever. And I'm like, oh, she is so graceful, and she's just so together. And I named my daughter after that girl because, yeah, it's cool. And it's funny, it happens to be a family name, too, so I kind of, win-win there.
Nice. You lucked out on that one. And lastly, karaoke. I love to karaoke.
Cool.
It was even
down
like
here.
I
There's
have
a lot of karaoke down here, like a lot.
Really.
A lot. Oh yeah. Yep.
Like I even like there's a couple friends of mine, and I like we'll go karaoke. We used to do it pretty regularly, but it hasn't got like because our friend was running the karaoke at Dell's over in Bloomfield, but Dell's closed now, so they don't do that anymore. But yeah, so we had this spreadsheet going, like we had a shared like Google Doc where it was like, we all put our karaoke songs in this Google Doc, and what songs we'd like to try out and what songs we're never to sing and things like that. I even had an app on my phone.
Oh, you're awesome. You'll have to take me because I've done karaoke one time, and it's not because I can't sing. I love to sing. I just would rather sing without accompaniment. It's hard for me to. I don't know.
Yeah.
I try to sound exactly like that person. It's weird. It's just.
No, I totally get it. Like I do the same thing. I mimic. I have a problem with that. I sometimes, I have to realize I have to remember. It's like try to find your own voice. Like you don't need to sound exactly like this person. Just hit the key, hit the notes. But like one of the best things, one of the most fun karaoke events I'd ever been to, there is a live band karaoke that goes on here. And there is nothing like singing with a live band. And it was like the best time. And like I sang Plush by Stone Temple Pilots.
Oh yeah.
And
nice.
I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett. And it was just amazing. You just feel like a dang on rock star. Like it's awesome. So,
cool. That is so awesome.
Yeah, if we ever get a chance to go to karaoke together, we must find a live band.
You'll have to show me how it's done because I am the only one I ever did. Okay, and I picked this song because it was short because I felt so weird about doing karaoke. It was the letter, For an airplane.
What?
Ain't got time to take a fast train. The letter. It's like a minute and a half. It's really the shortest song ever. I'm like, I'm gonna pick that song.
It's like
you'll have to show me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love to sing, but I'm just so displaced by karaoke for some reason.
Sometimes it's a weird thing. Yeah, like we even have a karaoke game on our Xbox, and ever so often my husband and I will be like, when it's time to get real stupid, it's like let's do karaoke, and we'll just do it in the living room.
Oh, what was it called? Is it called Rock Band or something like that? Where
no, but I did used to have that one.
We used to do that. Yeah.
I used to love Rock Band.
Yeah. I did use to sing for that, if you want to call that karaoke. I don't know, but we did. Yeah.
But no, yeah, that was fun too. Like I love doing that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that
perfect score. Yeah.
Probably. I think there's like probably one or two songs I had ever had a perfect score, and I can't recall what it was, but I really like doing the drums. That was my favorite. Nice. I think it may have been like a 9 Inch Nails song actually.
Oh wow!
The Hand That Feeds, I think was one.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
I think my husband actually did like 100% on a song once. I mean, I think it was Alanis Morissette, "You Ought to Know" or something.
Nice.
Like, whatever the Alanis Morissette song was on there.
Yeah.
He totally nailed it. That's great.
So if anybody's out there who has a rock band at their house and they want to invite me over for it, I would love to do a night of Rock Band.
Yeah. Oh, is that old school now? I don't know.
It probably is.
Might be.
I don't know what these kids are doing these days.
Rock Band? What
right.
is that?
Something your mom and dad used to play a lot. Oh man, yeah, I don't know what these kids are up to. Like, do they even know about the glory that is Rock Band?
I know. Yes, the glory that is Rock Band, or the awesomeness of Simon from the '80s.
Oh, Simon, man.
I don't know why that just popped up in my head.
That's random. Probably because of the light up things on the Rock Band.
The light.
Yeah.
It must be light.
The light up button.
There, I made an association. You figured it out. You figured me all out.
All right, so that is my list. So
Awesome. Great list.
now it's time to go to the book 4,000 Questions for Getting to Know Anyone and Everyone. And I'm just going to pick a rando question. Okay. What is your current opinion of TV?
My friend's going to hate this because she just put something up on Facebook, but kill your television? No, I actually love like Netflix and I love Hulu and stuff like that. But I think TV is always about ads. Always about, like, again, back to the mainstream media. I think you probably can figure that one out. Just being barraged by, you know,
buy this, be that, do
consumerist.
this.
Yes,
yeah.
Consume, be a consumer. So television itself, I do like it sometimes, but I don't have it. So
oh, really?
I believe you can actually live without it, because I did live without it in Pittsburgh for the full 5 years I lived there. And then since I did that, I never needed it. So live without it for 5 years and you won't need it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. No, especially, I mean, it's just in the day and age that we're living in, like you said, with Netflix and Hulu, like where you can pick and choose what you want to watch and when you want to watch it. It's almost like you would think cable companies would be giving it away.
I know.
Just because everybody, you don't need it anymore. Like it's like a la carte at this point. Like I don't need the cable.
Right, yeah. I just don't like being spoon-fed ads like that. Forget it. Like, give me my Netflix. Let me pick what I want. That's my niche. Give me my off-pick choice.
I think I've even also kind of gotten to the point where I prefer watching television shows like in a bulk, like binge watching them. I think I prefer doing that as opposed to like week by week by week, because there's so much you forget, and there's just like sometimes you just forget. I forget to watch after a couple weeks. Like, oh yeah, what shows are we even watching right now? Like, I don't even know. Like, so
I did that with House of Cards. I think I watched the entire season of House of Cards within like 2 or 3 days. I'm like, okay, I just watched it all day. Oh my god, yeah, I totally did that with House of Cards.
But no, it's like it's great for especially like people who don't keep like the regular 9-to-5 job and then nothing else after work kind of thing, like the creative types or the people who are entrepreneurs, or you have like 2 days out of the month or a week or whatever where you are picked to be lazy. It's like, yes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch an entire 2-3 seasons of Breaking Bad. So
it's so fun.
Yes, it is. It's amazing. Like, I love doing that. I love binge watching. Like, we will get into these moods and we'll like, we'll like throw a bunch of pillows and blankets on the floor and just grab snacks and within arm's reach, and that's where we'll be for like the next day, and then it's just fine. And it's absolutely love it.
Camp out. Yeah,
it's great.
Totally. I totally agree. Yeah, so kill your television because there's Netflix.
Kill your television, get your Netflix.
Yeah.
Well, Kelly, we are at the end of our hour.
Hey, it was awesome.
This was great. I had such a good time with you.
Oh, I'm so grateful to be able to talk to you and just have fun with you. Thanks so much, Camila, for having me on.
Of course. Do you guys have any of your films or anything online, or you got anything in the works that you want to shout out? Or
we have Heels on Wheels is on YouTube. You can, put in Heels on Wheels in 48-hour Pittsburgh, and you'll probably get it just through that search. And then what we're doing is our 48-hour film project, and we're just on the sidelines, so we may or may not be in or out, depending on what actors they need. But the Mojave 4 team is the team we're on down here in Savannah. Nice. And hopefully we'll have a better chance, because it seems like they have quite a few less teams than in Pittsburgh.
Oh, really?
Last year, their competing teams were 15. There were only 15 registered. And and you wouldn't think that down here because there's so much film, but all the students leave. So there's so you have a smaller pool, to be if you really want to try. But yeah, Pittsburgh is huge compared, like it's double the size. This is odd. I believe Jacksonville's really big too, but yeah, here it's small because I think all the film kids just kind of, vaporize and go for the summer.
That's shocking.
But hey, hopefully we can build it up and make it bigger.
Yes, that is your goal. That is your job for the next 5 years. That's what you do.
We're doing it. I'm on.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, and
Oh,
thank you all for listening. And you can follow the underscore Rugged Angel on Twitter, and you can check Rugged Angel Productions on Facebook, and check us out on ruggedangel.com. Thank you for
thanks,
listening,
Mila.
and thank you, Kelly. This has been a Rugged Angel production.